Hey everybody, so this is Josh, the Retro Regamer, and I want to talk to you about a really interesting accessory today. A Nintendo accessory that you may or may not have known about. It's actually more of a container for the accessory, but you've probably heard about the accessory, but maybe not this container. So, here we go. It is, ta-da, the Nintendo Power Glove black box, or retail box, or carrying box, or traveling case. There's a bunch of different names out there for it. So I want to talk about this a little bit and kind of go over a few things about it, what I found, kind of dig into it a little bit more. I love obscure accessories, especially for older systems from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, you know, all that stuff. I love retro accessories and obscure ones as well, and I like to call those accessories because I obsess over obscure accessories. You get it? Accessories. It's hilarious, right? It's a word. Don't look it up. It's real. Anyway, so here we go. So we're gonna dive in, take a look at this, and so there's a couple theories on this case here, on how it came into existence, where it was from, what it was, where you could find it. So the two main theories that I found are either A, it was a retail store box case, essentially, and you'd go into a store, probably a bigger store like Toys R Us or something like that, and they'd have these along with some other stuff, and just, it was an empty case, empty display case. They're like, hey, buy this case for traveling with your Nintendo Power Glove so you can, you know, take it over to your friend's house because it has a handy dandy little handle there. See? Nice little handle. So, hey, you can carry your Power Glove, carry your power on the go over to your friend's house. So, you know, that was kind of the thought. I found a little bit of evidence to support that, but there's really not that much out there. I found somewhere where it looked like it was an ad that they had a black case for a Power Glove on sale. So, maybe this was it, maybe not. It may not have even said black case. It may have just said a case for the Power Glove. So that could have then been they listed it weird. Maybe it was actually a box Power Glove that they were just drastically cutting the prices on it. I don't know, because I think that's probably the most viable explanation. But it is weird that it doesn't have like a barcode on it or any other kind of branding on it or anything like that. So maybe it wasn't a retail case. Maybe it was something else. So the other main theory is that this was actually a rep case or rep model. A rep would have this case and have the glove and everything in there, and they take it to the store and then show it off to the store and be like, hey, you guys need to check this out. You need to carry this. This is going to be amazing. You check out this power, you know, the power of the Power Glove, you know, and they were hyping it up and all that because it was really big and there was tons of ad campaigns and all kinds of stuff at the time. You know, it was in that movie, The Wizard or whatever. Like, everybody was talking about it. So, and actually I think that might have come out a few years later. But anyway, so all to say, that's the other big theory. So there's other people who thought, well, maybe it was a rental case, maybe it was, you know, a giveaway, maybe it was something you could win from Nintendo, all this stuff. I haven't really found any evidence for that. The two main theories are it was either a traveling salesman, a rep case, or it was a box that was in a store for a limited time, but probably only bigger stores that had the shelf space to just hold display boxes like that, or hold you know, travel cases, empty boxes for people to buy. You know, and obviously bigger stores where they'd expect to sell a lot of units, and maybe people would come back and buy a travel case. The other kind of corroborating evidence to some extent for that is, I don't know if you guys know about those little Nintendo cases, like the alligator skin like ones, like fake alligator skin, and there's like a white and a black version, and then there's a longer like black box as well. It holds NES games, like 10 or 15 games. So anyway, the design is very similar, which I found that kind of odd. It's kind of that cardboard, like this is that cardboard with like a vinyl coating, and then it's kind of tacked on, like you can kind of see here, it's tacked in the corners and stuff, and kind of pinned on there. So I don't know, that and the fact that the handle is actually very similar design in the way it's shaped, and this like metal that's now kind of become a rusty piece. One of the Nintendo cases had that, and it had a little Nintendo badge on it, just like this has the little, there you go, the little Power Glove badge right here with the little like tacked on either end. So there's a lot of, you know, back and forth on this. I haven't really found a good answer, so definitely leave me a comment if you know, hey, I saw those in the store, I bought those, you know, and you're like, oh, I know what that is, you know, or no, I've never ever seen one of those before, or hey, my dad was a rep from Mattel and he has one of these out in the garage, you know. So when I got this particular one, though, the glove inside, trying to remember, the glove inside still had some plastic on it, I think. And some of the other stuff, like, it came with the glove. The only other thing that came with it came with the instruction manual and the glove in this box, but somebody could have easily just put that in the box. But I found it odd that the glove was almost brand new, like it was not used that I could tell. The fingers were still stiff, so it looked to me like it hadn't been used. Like, I mean, it had been sitting in this case for a long time. The sensor bar and everything was, like, perfect. But then again, somebody could have bought it, taken it out of the box, bought this, put it in there immediately, and then wrapped it up and given it as a Christmas present, and then, you know, it didn't really work because a lot of people didn't play it after the first time they tried to use it and threw it in a drawer, so maybe it got packed up at that point and just sat in a shed forever. But we'll go into that a little bit more here in a minute. But let me open it up. So here you go, opening it up. So I've got the glove in there, as you can see. It holds the glove pretty nicely. And I've also got a game in there, which is Super Glove Ball. Yeah! So this game actually was one of 2 games that were released for the Power Glove series. Super Glove Ball and Bad Street Brawl were the 2 games, which actually the Super Glove Ball works pretty well. I was surprised to see how well it actually worked. But then let's go ahead and look at the glove here too. I mainly want to showcase the case, so I'm not going to go in a ton of detail on the glove, but I'll do a quick close-up of it. I mean, you can kind of see, I mean, everything looks in really good shape on it. Doesn't really look like it's been used. I've used it once or twice, but, I mean, that's it. So, anyway, if you notice, too, I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but you see those marks? Yeah, there you go. The marks inside there, that's from where it's basically been sitting in here for a long time, because that's from it, you know, the plastic melting a little bit and the cords or whatever kind of sinking into the plastic because it's gotten so hot. Because this piece of plastic here is just kind of a thin piece of plastic, and you probably could fit. Looks like you can fit maybe 4 games, at least 3 games in there, stacked on top of each other, and it's even got a kind of a groove cut out right here, so you can, you know, easily get the games out of there. But let me take this out and I'll show you. So this whole tray just lifts out, and you'll see the back of it and the molded piece there. So I mean, it's just a light kind of plastic tray. So let me set that down over here. So that's the bottom tray. Now next we have the secondary tray. So in this one I have a couple other things I want to talk about. So I showed you that other book here, the little manual and stuff. Well, there actually was 2 of those because, and here we go. So the reason for that is because apparently you know, Mattel put this together and everything, was pitching to Nintendo, and Nintendo was kind of iffy about it at first, and they actually made them include a second pair of instructions and setup information for it, so that way they could actually, you know, they were like, a kid's not going to be able to do this on their own. Like, you need to have some more instructions, so they added that in there. The other thing is also in the box that came with like a sealed Power Glove. As far as I know, all this stuff that I'm showing you came inside of the box of like a sealed Power Glove. So this essentially is what a complete in-box Power Glove would look like, as far as I know. So I'm pretty sure that it also came with this poster, which shows the Power Glove Challenge, which it's like, hey, it basically wants you to play Mike Tyson's Punch-Out with the Power Glove, and it gives you some instructions here and how to set it up. Then on the other side, it has other games that are compatible with the Power Glove, including a list, you know, down here in the corner too, down over here. But anyway, you know, and those games, like, they weren't really made for it. They kind of went back and recoded those games to work with it, and they're not great, but they do work okay. Like, it's not as horrible as some people try to make it out to be. Like, when I was actually playing around with it and testing it, like, if you calibrate everything well and take a lot of time with it and sit down and like kind of rest your arm on something, because your arm will get tired really fast, you can play those games to some extent. Not at all as easily as you can with a controller or with motion controls nowadays, but for what it was, that's pretty awesome. The other thing that it came with, which is really hard to find, and I've only seen a couple times, is this right here. So I'm going to try to get it in focus for you. There we go. The Power Glove Liner, or Power Glove Comfort Liner, or the Power Glove glove. So the Power Glove glove, essentially. So what this was, it was a little cotton kind of glove, as you can see right here. You know, and it was just, it was actually supposed to go on your hand before you put your hand inside the Power Glove, which you can see by the illustration right there. And it was supposed to make it more comfortable to wear the Power Glove, and I guess it would work. I mean, I read something somewhere where someone was like, it actually feels a little bit better with the glove in there, but I feel like your hand would overheat and sweat a lot more. But I mean, I guess it's cotton, so it's breathable. But there also are these foam pieces in here, and they're little white foam pieces. So if you're not sure the size of the Power Glove that you have, there's two sizes. There's a large and there's a small, and there's a couple ways supposedly that you can tell without, you know, having the box or whatever, whether it's a large or small. And one of those ways I've heard is with the foam pieces, whether they're black or they're white. Now, I don't think that's the best way to figure it out because, as you saw here, this pack has additional foam pieces and they're white. So this may have come with a small glove because supposedly the small gloves have white foam and the larger gloves have black. But I don't think that's completely foolproof because there's additional ones, so if these were to fall off and I stuck those on there, you might think it was a small. But the other way is these notches. So if you look right here, you see those notches on there? So there's 9 of them on this system here. Let me make sure. Yeah, 9. So on this glove. So on the large glove, there's 9 notches. On a smaller glove, there's only 8. So if you're looking online, the seller doesn't say whether it's a small or large Power Glove. If you only see 8 of those notches, it's a small. If there's 9 notches, then it's a large. That's just the best way I found to kind of figure that out. So anyway, glove liner, showed you guys that. So here's a little bit better look at the whole bottom piece here. So these are the controller bars that you would set up basically around the TV. You know, each of these little sensor bars, and what they would do is pick up the signal from the Power Glove, and they communicated back and forth with the Power Glove essentially. Well, I mean, as best they could. So it kind of worked like echolocation, you know, where they, you know, would pick up the position of the glove based on the sound emitting from it and where it was, and you would have to center the glove, and then it would, you know, figure out whether the glove was being moved or turned, you know, the pitch and yaw and all of that with the glove. So I think that's really neat. But also, you know, I like how nicely this case, it kind of conforms. Like, it's a great way to hold those sticks and everything because it's a giant pain if you've got those just all in pieces all over the place. But again, it's that molded kind of plastic to hold everything in place. And I could pull that tray out. There's nothing really underneath there, but you can pull out that bottom tray too. It's just kind of sitting in there. You know, so it's like they made the case and then they molded those trays and stuck them in there for it. So anyway, there you go. That's the Power Glove NES black box that has become more and more infamous and obscure because there's just not a lot of information out there on it. I talked to some guys who were doing a documentary actually on the Power Glove, and they gave me a little bit of information on what they had found, and I'll put a link to their description, or a link to their video in the description. And then also Norm, the gaming historian, he does a great video on the history of the Power Glove, how it came to be, what the original design was, you know, how they shrunk something that was thousands of dollars worth of technology into, you know, a toy essentially that could be hooked up to your NES. So anyway, that's really neat. So definitely check those videos out too. Again, like, subscribe, check out my other videos. I'm going to have them posted probably here and here, or at least one of those places in a moment. And yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you've seen this before, if you have any ideas what it might be, you know, where it might have been, if it was something special or maybe some other evidence for it, because there's just not really a whole lot out there. And I'm still on the search for it. So if you have any questions, you can post those too. I try to keep an eye on the comments, you know, for a day or two after I post to kind of, you know, keep up with what's going on and all of that. And I want to help answer questions if I can too. So anyway, thanks guys, and have a great evening.